Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yet another vlog stuck inside, but today we are going to try and do a little bit of an experiment. I don't know how this is going to go at all. It might go really well, it might also look terrible, but what I'm going to try and produce is some images a little bit like this, a little bit like this. Neither of them were captured by me, but that is kind of what we're going to be trying to go for. The items I've got to do this is one of these, one of these, one of these, some of these food colourings, and a big bowl filled full of water just that way. And that is going to be my tools for today. I've also got my bright light over here, so I am going to be using lots of light because obviously to capture images like that I am going to have a really fast shutter speed. The lens I'm going to be using is my macro lens, and for everything else it's going to be a bit hit and miss. So welcome to Splash Photography. Fingers crossed it works out. So the first thing I need to find out is how to erect this gripping device with this tripod, and over that the catching ball, what's going to create the splash. So what I've got is I've got this pretty shocking Amazon buy, which seemed like a good idea at the time, and you never know, today it might redeem itself. But I think for this it's going to be pretty ideal. So click to the fast forward. So, got my tripod coming up, got my little, I don't know, squirter thing pointing down, and the catching tool. Now, how do I have this so this is going to capture that? That's going to be my next struggle. First thing I'm going to do though, is I'm going to get my macro lens out. So finally, after a little bit of jigging around, I've managed to make it so this is lined up, the drop, with where this camera is facing. Now all I need to work out is the correct shutter speed to freeze it and how to capture it. But what I am going to do so I don't knock the camera is I'm going to add this, my little shutter release. Now hopefully with this I can just press and this will go. That's the idea. So time to get this in place. So there we are, got the shutter release sorted. The next part is to get the right shutter speed. Now I want this to be as fast as possible, and this camera goes pretty quick. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open my aperture to make my lens a little bit faster. This is a 2.8 lens, so it should be pretty quick in low light. Next thing, I'm going to raise my ISO. I'm going to go as high as, I think, 1000. And then I'm going to adjust my shutter speed. So that is giving me a shutter speed of 1/10 of a second. So that's just not enough. So that is why I brought this. And hopefully, on full power, this is going to give me enough light to be able to get a really fast shutter speed. So I'm going to aim that right on the water, and now this can give me a shutter speed of 1/80th of a second. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out and see how well I can time it with this to that dropping to that much light. So believe it or not, that first one looked pretty good. It is out of focus. Almost in focus. Tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little cheat to get this focused. So how I'm going to focus this lens is I'm going to put my earpiece just down by the water's edge, just where I think them splashes are going to be. So I finally got my first shot. Check these out. So I've got this one here and I've got this one here, and they are starting to look pretty good. They're almost in focus. I actually think that this camera is too close to be able to capture all of the action, and I think if I switch this into portrait mode, I'm going to get a much better image as well. So that's what I'm going to experiment with now. First of all, before I move my camera, I'm going to switch this into portrait mode, and then hopefully with this I'll be able to elongate what I'm capturing. Look at these shots I'm capturing. There's one problem though, it's still not sharp enough. I think the depth of field on this macro lens might be too narrow. So I'm just going to change where I'm focusing. I'm going to try and focus a little bit further away. So I think that first part of the experiment has gone really, really well. Now, I found out how to capture it, and that's just a case of give it a little squeeze and tap that button. Fire them off. Hopefully they're around the right sort of time. I found the correct shutter speed, how fast I like it, where to focus it. What I want to do now is I want to try and improve it. Because if you look at some of these shots here, yeah, they're nice. They are nice. But they're not the level I want. So I'm going to try and have a little root around and see if I can come up with like maybe some sort of white backdrop to sort of help reverberate that light, to bring in that light into the system. Maybe some light white to go underneath the dish that I've got the water in. And I want to make it look more professional. It's pretty much what I'm going for. But so far, the results, pretty happy with them. So, bed sheet it is. And I think this is going to really improve this image. Instantly, as soon as I'd gone into that white sheet, I'd gone from, I think it was 1/20th of a second up to 1,000th of a second, just by getting that white sheet in there and making it more reflective. So, faster shutter speeds, sharper image, fingers crossed. Just had a little thought on something that might make this better, and that's not so much the top down, because it's such a shallow depth of field, because I'm shooting top down. What's tending to happen is I'm getting one part of it in focus, one part of it not. Now instead of shooting top down, what I could do is try and shoot more across, and by going across, fingers crossed, more will be in focus and I'll get them more interesting, like mushroomy type shapes. So I'm going to lower the tripod and start shooting across the water and see if that works a little bit better. So the next step is finding out which food colourings I like the look of. I don't want ivory. Ivory's not a good colour. but maybe a bit of red. I like the look of that one. Oh, it's very leaky. And then definitely some green. Oh God, these are going to make a mess. Green and maybe some blue, I think. I'm going to start with them three. So I've got red, green and blue. There goes some red. Let's see what happens. God, this red's everywhere. Now to capture this, I'm just going to put this on rapid fire and I'm just going to go for it. Just to see what happens, see if I capture the best one. Looks pretty chaotic. Let's go for another round. Okay, I think the camera right now is where it's going to be at its best. Check these images out. I'm really happy with how these are starting to look. What I want to do now is add a contrasting colour into the water to hopefully make, I don't know what's going to happen really. So I'm going to get a little bit of this blue and I'm going to add a little bit in. I might just leave it in a big blob like that and see what happens. It's very dark, that's what I'm finding. I'm going to try one more little thing just to see if I can get that darkness out of that water and hopefully actually create something a little bit more special. That is looking so much better. Check it out. Starting to get these really mystical type feeling to it. So I'm going to restock on my red. What I wish I had now was another light source to side light it as well. And I'm going to have a little look around and see if I can get a source to light the side while it's underlit, and then hopefully bring this all together in one final image. So I think I've got my final setup all sorted, and I'd like it if that light was brighter. Unfortunately, it's only as bright as it's ever going to get. It's not an aperture light, it's nothing fancy, and yeah, an aperture light would be really good right now. To have one underneath, one under that side, one on that side, and lighting up them droplets from both sides. I think that would look pretty bloomin' special. And if I ever do this video again, or something similar, I think that's what I'm going to do. Now what I'm going to try and do now is I'm just going to try and get the best splash ever. Something tells me that it's all about just persistence and keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. I don't think I'm going to add the green. I think I'm just going to stick with the contrast of the blue and the reds, and I think they're looking pretty special as it is. Again, some real high powered flashes would be really good right now actually. Not these lights, some really high powered flashes. Sort of freezing that action, that motion. But again, being a landscape photographer, it's not something I have. But this has been fun, a little experiment. Now I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna fire off a few more and then I'll do a little bit of a summary at the end. So I think that's going to be about me for this vlog, but as the experiments have gone on, I've managed to fine tune what I've been doing and I've ended up with pretty decent results that I'm happy with. Yeah, and I think actually they've turned out pretty well. But the tips that I've got for you if you are going to try this at home. First of all, lots of light. You will need lots of light, and if you've got flashes that you can sync up with each other, definitely get them out, because if you can freeze and get a super fast shutter speed, it's going to be better, because one, you're going to be able to have a smaller aperture on your lens, so a bigger depth of field, which is going to mean that the splash and the bounce back is going to be in focus, which is so nice. It's definitely the best and what you're looking for. I didn't manage to get any of the shots where you see where it's all timed perfectly by computers, where bubble comes down, bounces up, hits. Didn't get anything like that. But what I did get was nice, and here is my tips. First of all, lots of light. Good tripod, super steady. Light from underneath and from the sides. They're going to make a nice big difference. Contrasting colours. And then how you focus is probably going to be the most important part. Something like a macro lens, where the lens and the depth of field is so narrow, it's really important that you get the focus at the best place. And I've got a pretty good technique on how to do it. I'll show you. So the first thing I do is I look on the back of my camera screen, and you can see the video rolling through here. I get something. It doesn't need to be a glasses thing, doesn't need to be one of them, but you put it down on the water surface, you move it forwards to where you want the splash to be, and then you lift it up, straight up from there, until you find the point where you want it to be focused. Focus it on that thing that you're using in the water, and then what you do is you get your drop dispenser. Mine was a turkey paster, so you get that, you squeeze it until it lines up with where you want it on the back of your camera. Then you put it onto multi-shot, and you just fire, spray and pray until your buffer gets full, and then enjoy looking at the results. And I've got some absolute crackers. So that's the technique, the tips, and what I found out today. If you are a professional at capturing bubbles and splashes and things like this, leave a comment below. Let us know how you do it, how you'd go around it. I didn't really know what I was doing, but gave it a crack, and this was the end results. Enjoy. And before you watch it, in fact, this is going to be the end of the vlog, so if you have enjoyed it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and show me some love. Leave a comment below, let me know how you think it's gone. I think it's gone well. There hasn't been as much talking as usual, but the experimentation and the results, pretty good, and hopefully some good tips for you to go away and do this at home. But yeah, I'll see you next week. Peace out.